It'll be worth it though. Put the work in, it'll pay off eventually, and maybe set a schedule like I'm gonna apply to 2 jobs per day. Hey, I'm Doug, and I'm doing a series of videos on life in Toronto. You can already tell by the title that I'm talking about searching for a job in Toronto, and you're probably thinking, what does this millennial with bleached hair sitting on the floor of his bedroom know about finding jobs? I might not be an expert, but I've made some mistakes, and I'm gonna share them in these videos, so hopefully you don't make the same ones that I did. Also, these are newer, recent tips for 2020, especially with COVID going on. And if you look online for other resources about how to move here and tips, you're gonna find just like blog.to articles that list websites you've already heard of. You already know where to look for jobs on LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster, and something like Kijiji. We're gonna go more in depth. Let's start with the easiest methods and work our way to the hard stuff. The absolute easiest way would be if you're already working for a company that is big in Canada or internationally and they have offices here in Toronto, ask your current manager for a transfer. Your manager probably isn't going to be happy to hear that you're trying to leave unless you're a terrible worker, then they might be happy about it. Plant the idea in their head early because these transfer things are never fast. Have a reason, and it's okay to exaggerate, not totally lie, but exaggerate, like I have a partner who's relocated for work and I need to move to be close with them. I have family that I want to be close to and help take care of. Sentimental reasons are gonna go a lot further than I wanna make more money and party in the biggest city. Not everybody has the transfer option available. So the next easiest way is to network. And I hated when people told me this because I thought, I don't have a network. I don't know anybody who can help me get a job. I was proved wrong because an old coworker of mine referred me to my current job, and that's it. That's what networking is. Even though you think you don't know anybody, you know people from high school, from university, from previous jobs. Maybe you have a distant relative or a cousin. These are all people that you should be reaching out to on social media, LinkedIn, email, however you want to reach them. And what's the worst that can happen? They're going to tell you no, or they're just going to ignore your message. No big deal. There's a lot of other options we're going to talk about to find jobs. The reason why networking works is because companies believe that their good workers know other good workers, and they reward the worker who is already there and recruited the new one with some cash incentive, sometimes a bonus if the person gets hired and they stay on for 6 months. All right, now we get to the more difficult methods. So you know already that Indeed and LinkedIn are probably some of the best websites to look for job posts. There's no need to go to all these different sites. Companies cross-post. They post their job on multiple websites, so you don't have to be signed up on every single one. Pick one, stick with it, maybe 2, LinkedIn and Indeed. Something maybe a little bit better you could do is go directly to these companies' websites and apply on their career pages. Now, it's a little annoying because some of them make you create this whole profile. It's not simply just sending in your resume. You have to create a profile in their portal, and sometimes you're not going to hear back. After all that work you put in, it'll be worth it though. Put the work in, it'll pay off eventually, and maybe set a schedule like I'm gonna apply to 2 jobs per day. You'll probably apply to 100 or 200 jobs and only hear back from about 5 for an interview. When you go directly to companies' websites, you wanna pick ones that have a lot of employees in Toronto. That way you have more of a chance of finding a job that fits your skill set. So I'm gonna tell you these big companies. CIBC is a huge employer. They have 16,000 workers at least in Toronto. The next one is Scotiabank. Notice a trend here. Big banks. The big banks have a lot of offices in Toronto and they have a lot of jobs too. Also in the top, TD, BMO, those are big ones. Another big industry with a lot of employees in Toronto are the telecommunications. So Rogers, Bell, TELUS. These are all good ones that are going to have more job opportunities too. One that right now during COVID might not be the best choice, but in the future could be, is Air Canada. Air Canada has a lot of employees, or they did, at the Toronto Pearson Airport. If you want a job where you can live downtown, that's still a possibility with Air Canada because there's something called the Up Express, which is an easy commute. It's a train from downtown Union Station with hardly any stops all the way to the airport. It's for passengers, but of course, employees can use it too. Think about the benefits with Air Canada too. Free flights maybe? Like I said before, unless you're the best in your field, you're probably going to be applying to 100 to 200 jobs and maybe hear back about 5. Maybe why you're not hearing back could be that these companies are hiring people that they got introduced to through networking and through transfers, or an internal candidate took the spot. Okay, the next place to look, and don't click off this video, is the public sector. All the previous jobs that I mentioned, they were all private. Government jobs, federal, provincial, and municipal, are all great paying jobs, and the benefits are good. You're gonna have a good pension afterwards too. Your salary will increase the more local government you go. So federal gets paid the least, then Ontario, the province of Ontario, gets paid a little bit more, and then the most is at the city level. Some jobs exist in the public sector that don't even exist in the private sector. These jobs are a good option because I believe that they are less competitive than the private sector jobs. That's because the hiring process is very standardized, they have strict policies that they have to follow, and because of that, it's more fair. They're gonna look at everybody's application who meets the essential qualifications. You might have to do a little bit more work for these applications. You have to create an account, and then you have to fill out a questionnaire every single time that you apply for a job. Sometimes these questionnaires are really long, and you have to answer all these questions about your experience and how you apply that to this job. A lot of people don't finish filling in these questionnaires, or they do a really sloppy job and they whip through it really fast. That's an advantage to you because there's a whole segment of people that you're not gonna have to worry about competing with because they won't get contacted. If you make it through the initial screening, you usually get invited to one exam or two or a few, and then you get invited to an interview and you find out if you've made it or not. So go to each government website and apply on their website, the federal, Ontario, and the city of Toronto. Another great employer that's kind of public sector is the Toronto District School Board. They have over 5,000 employees in Toronto, and that's great. If you are already qualified as a teacher, you can move here. Teachers get paid pretty well. If you're not a teacher though, there's still options for you. There's a lot of admin positions, secretary positions, if that's what you want to take. There are a lot of other options. Even if you're not a teacher, there's a lot of admin positions because their head offices are here in Toronto. Another one that you might consider is the Toronto Police Service. You don't have to be a police officer to work for the Toronto Police Service. They have a lot of civilian jobs, as they call them. One of those, just for example, is parking enforcement officer. They get paid a lot of money. I'm thinking up to 80,000 around there. That's pretty good. And you get lots of exercise by walking around. It is probably stressful when people yell at you about giving them a ticket, but maybe the wages balance things out. Another one of these sort of government related jobs would be the TTC. That's another huge employer in the city. A couple final words. Be realistic. If you don't have that much experience, if you were just scooping popcorn at Cineplex, or maybe you had like 6 months experience as a secretary, don't come thinking you're gonna get a 75K a year job. Doesn't work like that. And don't be too proud to apply for the entry-level jobs. In my case, that's what I did. Using a network, a previous coworker, I got referred for a 6-month contract. I didn't know if it would be extended, but I took the risk and it paid off. I've been there for now 2.5 years, and I've got a couple promotions along the way, and I'm permanent now. So don't be afraid to take entry-level positions. Don't be afraid to take contracts, because that's kind of a trial to see if you're any good, and if they like you, they might hire you full-time. Also, on my example, I had 8 years of work experience, and I still took this entry-level job. I worked from 4 p.m. to midnight, Monday to Friday, and that was like the evening shift. Now I'm working during the day, of course. Another piece of advice, if you're already in Toronto and you don't have a job, don't wait for a job to fall in your lap, because it's not going to. So take any kind of job where you can start making a little bit of money. Don't be too proud that you're above working at Starbucks. I would work at Starbucks if I was unemployed for a little while. There's also a lot of call center jobs, and they have high turnover for obvious reasons. People get yelled at on the phone. But it's a little bit of money that can help you while you're applying to the jobs that you want. Also, put your resume in at staffing agencies, so Randstad and Manpower, and when they offer you a temporary work opportunity, take it. Because if you say no too much, your recruiter person is not going to reach out to you as much. So now get to work, update your resume, update your LinkedIn profile, and start applying to jobs. 2 or 3 a day, and you'll be on your way. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video where we talk about finding an apartment. Bye.